Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. That came as a surprise. I have received so many questions for the Q&A over Instagram and YouTube, so I'm going to condense everything into some common themes so I can try to cover as many of the questions as possible. So one of the questions that I received from both Instagram and YouTube was like, how do I come up with the video ideas? What's my process? Also, how do I feel about people watching these videos who know me? Like, how do I get past that mental barrier? And this is a really good question. When I first made videos at the start of the channel, I scripted them with bullet points and I tried to find like a structure. But I realized that that's not how I work. I can't plan things out. They have to just come to me. I feel like I am the interpreter of the ideas. It's kind of like when you're drawing a picture or like writing a song. It's very much, you're just the conductor. You're just taking a message in and you're the communicator basically. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but basically it's very spontaneous and I just have to wait for things to come to me. I am extremely strongly against the use of AI for anything creative, especially gathering information. I don't like it whatsoever. So zero AI. And when it comes to people potentially seeing my channel who I know in real life and who, you know, maybe family and friends and people who may not understand, this was the largest mental block. When I got my autism diagnosis, I could hear all the voices from the people I went to school with, family and friends. I could hear everyone and everyone's reaction. It really ate me up. I was just gonna tell a few people, keep it on the low, but it started eating at me. I just had to get it out there, kind of like when you come out of the closet or break any significant news about yourself. It sometimes feels really liberating to really put it out there without wrapping it up in anything, just throwing it out there and being as vulnerable as possible. It's terrifying. But I think I've developed a sense of trust and confidence from doing that, where at this point, I don't care who sees these videos. If I alienate people, it means I'm probably doing something right. There's people who I used to be friends with who just have no clue what's going on with me, probably don't understand neurodivergence, and in fairness to them, I have been masking so heavily that I don't blame them for being a bit alienated by this new self-discovery path that I'm on. So it is really hard to put yourself out there, but I want to keep pushing and share and help people. As therapeutic as it is to put this out there, the fact that I'm connecting with so many people with similar experiences, neurodivergent, late diagnosed, this is what it's all about. It's about showing each other that we're not aliens and that we're not alone. I owe it to myself to give back and share my story because by all odds, I probably shouldn't have made it this far. I did not prepare to be this age. This was all unplanned, so I'm very much out of my comfort zone just being an adult because I didn't plan on getting this far ever. I've had a few questions on spirituality, my spiritual journey, things like that. My spiritual journey started when I was a teenager. I got heavily into psychedelic culture and I got heavily into the schools of thought and philosophies, specifically from Alan Watts. I started reading Alan Watts and watching and listening to lectures when I was a teenager. And I also got heavily into the psychedelic culture, which I can't talk much on for obvious reasons. But that was the foundation for my spiritual journey. And that laid the groundwork for my critical thinking skills and understanding of the world. Alan Watts is a great starting point for the merging of Eastern and Western philosophies and spirituality. I got into the works of Aleister Crowley in my 20s and I read book 4 and other works of Aleister Crowley, but book 4 really clicked with me it helped me understand like the fundamental truths that connect all religions together, and I just really resonated and clicked with this book. Well, these books. But the truth is, when it comes to spirituality and book recommendations, it doesn't really matter what you read. I think what's important is that you read and that you explore ideas. You just pick up books and just read anything, really. They all lead to the same places. You're more likely to resonate with an author or a philosopher that you've already heard of. You're more likely to have something in common with someone who you're drawn to. So I was drawn to more edgy, esoteric writers like Aleister Crowley. So I read Aleister Crowley. You might had your ears prick up with, certain Greek philosophers from antiquity, and you should just follow your intuition. If you've heard of someone, you probably have something in common with them. The books don't matter. What matters is that you explore, and you will probably come to similar conclusions from multiple sources. It's really quite mystical how it works. So now I am going to do some rapid fire questions. I received a comment asking, how do you deal with shame and accepting yourself? I'm still on that journey. I've actually released a video on shame healing. I will link it in the description. It's one of my favorite videos that I've done. How do you make and maintain friendships? This is something I really struggle with, actually. I really struggle with maintaining friendships. I'm not very social, and I've kind of regressed a bit socially since my diagnosis, so I struggle to maintain friendships. Do you have a dream or a big goal in your life? I think I just want to keep doing what I'm doing now and work towards having full freedom over myself, and I'd love to just get to know myself more and more. Do you struggle to tell people in real life that you are autistic? Yeah, I do actually. It still feels weird to say. There's still a level of shame that I'm working on when it comes to confessing my autism to people, especially people that I've known for a long time. I've received some mixed feedback around my autism with people who are supposed to be really close to me. It's definitely difficult to tell people. What is something you like about yourself? I like my eye color, and I think my interests are pretty cool. What is my favorite book? Probably Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is probably my favorite book of all time. It's one of the first novels that I read through. I also really like this book. I related quite a lot to Beth as a child. What is your health like now? So my health's a bit wonky. As a lot of autistic people, we have multiple health issues usually alongside the autism. So most of my health issues are because of my neurodiversity. I also have histamine intolerance because of a certain virus that I had 4 years ago. I take vitamin D. I take a lot of vitamin D. I believe that vitamin D is key for people, especially autistic people. We tend to be deficient in vitamin D. Our immune systems could do with the extra help. So vitamin D3 with K2. And the same person, number 9, they ask, do I believe in God? Have I ever gone to church? So I believe in one giant alive entity that we're all part of. We are all bits of God experiencing itself. We are the universe's best and possibly only journalists. We are all from the same source, and we're spreading out. We're like God's sensors, mining for information. I feel like the universe is just on a mission to just fill every gap and just learn as much as possible. So I'd feel like we are the universe's journalists. I use the word universe, to mean God. I also do a lot of pagan practice and nature worship, like roots in Wicca. I have a family history with all that kind of stuff. Politics, worldview. My worldview as of today, I would say I'm pretty left-wing, if it's not very apparent by the nose ring. But no, but it's deeper than left and right. I'm very much anti-late stage capitalism. I think a slow shift into something more sustainable would be very nice. Something where the whole planet doesn't feel like one giant plantation would be marvelous, to be honest. And then someone asks, how do you cope with the constant dopamine craving brain? Yeah, so this is a serious issue that I battle with every day. I try to tone down the ADHD symptoms that I have in order to essentially enjoy my autism more. That's been my goal for the past few months. It's really difficult because this is the most straight edge I've ever been. I'm not entirely straight edge, but this is the least I've ever used things in order to get through the day. I don't smoke anymore. I've cut right back on drinking, and it's very rare that I go off the rails, but I do every now and then. I'm not out of the woods just yet. I think the best thing I've done for my dopamine deficiency issues, I try to not use social media at all unless I'm making videos. I tend to just avoid scrolling because that really messes me up. What made you consider that you might be autistic, and how does it make you feel looking back at younger you through the autism lens? So I feel very sorry for younger me. I no longer hate myself. I forgive myself for a lot of my behaviors that were deemed as unworthy and inappropriate. So multiple therapists and GPs suggested that I might be autistic, and I brushed it off until I eventually could no longer kind of deny it anymore. It all clicked into place, and then I realized, like, I'm not beating the autism allegations. I am in fact textbook autistic. I was just undereducated with what autism really was. I got told I might have Asperger's a few times when I was a child. Because I didn't make friends, I would just play with bugs and read books in the library, just be a little menace. How do you handle it if you're forced to go into a crowded place and people look at you like you have a unicorn horn growing out of your head if you start stimming? I have just started allowing myself to stim in public now. I've never really let myself do that. Instead, I used to just pick my nails, chew my lips, grind my teeth flat. So now I finally stim in public. Yeah, so I think I mentioned in one of my last videos, but I gave myself permission to be cringe. So I am cringe, but I am free. That's been really helpful. I think allowing myself to be myself, getting out of my own way, and just giving myself permission to be me. So yeah, this was the Q&A section of the video. Thank you for watching. I am so happy with the growth of this channel. Literally a few days ago I made a 400 subscriber video. I will make a follow-up video on my spirituality if that's something people are interested in. I will go into great details about like the roadmap of my spiritual journey and some of the practices that I do. If that's what people want to see, just let me know in the comments. I know it's not a topic for everyone, so just let me know. I also am a firm believer in not pushing your spiritual and religious beliefs down people's throats. I think it's very harmful to preach, essentially. So I am mindful of that. But yeah, I almost completely forgot my goal in life and my special interests. I am a musician. I love writing music and performing music. I am writing a book right now. I'm writing a novel, and I'm writing like a educational account of some of the stuff that I got up to in my teenage years and early 20s. So I'm a very passionate writer. Completely forgot to put that in.